Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
And the budget will balance itself.
Do I have to sue CNN?
Legacy doesn't mean nothing. I'm gonna die and it's gonna be over.
We begin with some breaking news coming in on the war in Ukraine. According to multiple media reports, U.S. President Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied long-range missiles for strikes deep inside Russia. This major policy shift comes after months of requests by Ukraine and just 2 months before President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
Welcome to her GDS Takes, and thanks for joining me. What the hell? With just 60-something days left in his presidency, senile incompetent old Joe, who shouldn't even have been allowed to get the presidential nomination in 2020, let alone be president, now has allowed the supplying of American missile technology and permission to Ukraine to use it to attack Russia. Why not start World War III to benefit greedy, powerful corporations and at the same time maybe keep Trump from power on his way out, right? Here's Russia recently updating its nuclear doctrine.
The updated, revised version of the document: any aggression from any non-nuclear state, but with the participation or with the support of a nuclear state, there is a suggestion to consider this kind of aggression as their joint aggression against the Russian Federation that could carry the nuclear weapons, which is cruise missiles, unmanned aerial vehicles, hypersonic and other aerial vehicles. And we reserve the right to use nuclear arms in case of the aggression against Russia and Belarus as a member state of the Union state.
But Biden has a long history of being a sleazeball politician, only out for himself. He actually ran for the Democrat presidential nomination for the first time in June of 1987, having to end it in disgrace a few months later in September. At the August 23, 1987 Iowa State Fair Democrat debate, Biden was running for the presidential nomination against Michael Dukakis, Jesse Jackson, Al Gore, and others. He plagiarized a speech by the leader of the British Labour Party, Neil Kinnock, which was revealed the following month by the New York Times and the Des Moines Register. I guess back in those days, the media didn't fully work for one political party or ideology.
And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnock in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform.
Biden basically changed his family history to match the speech he was plagiarizing, and he also plagiarized speeches by Robert F. Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey in the 2 years leading up to this point. If that wasn't bad enough, he was also caught lying about his academic record here.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly, I think
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
If I could say one thing, I think just...
In fact, he earned a single degree, a half scholarship, and finished 76 out of 85 at law school, but damn, he was a confident liar. Did I mention that he's corrupt as shit? Take a look at this USA Today report. The House Republicans released an impeachment report against President Joe Biden after nearly a 2-year-long investigation. So the 291-page report from 3 committees accuses Biden of participating in a conspiracy to help his relatives receive millions of dollars from foreign interests. The totality of the corrupt conduct uncovered by the committees is egregious, the report said. President Joe Biden conspired to commit influence peddling and grift. In doing so, he abused his office and, by repeatedly lying about his abuse of office, has defrauded the United States to enrich his family. End quote. Main points from the report include that Biden's relatives received $27 million from foreign entities since 2014, but the Bidens dispute the president benefited from the deals. James Biden, his brother, says the hundreds of thousands of dollars he gave his brother was to repay a personal loan. Sure it was. Hunter Biden would routinely put his father on the speakerphone while meeting with foreign business associates during his dealings with Russian, Romanian, Chinese, Kazakhstani, and Ukrainian figures. And they spent 4 years trying to convince everyone that Trump was working for Russia. Look at all this foreign influence right here. The White House is also accused of obstructing the impeachment inquiry by withholding key documents and witnesses. For example, Biden invoked executive privilege in refusing to release the recording of his interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur about classified documents. I just want to add that President Biden was billed as a down-the-middle, safe alternative to Donald Trump, but he has actually proven himself to be the most extremist president in American history. I mean, look at his actions. Senator Ted Cruz has said that 11 million illegal migrants have crossed into America under Biden's government. On social issues, Joe Biden has given his party free rein to promote all this transgender and DEI garbage. Also, he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, which would have brought 830,000 barrels of oil a day from Canada. And he also, this year, restricted oil and gas leasing on 13 million acres of federal petroleum reserve in Alaska. All of this has the cumulative effect of keeping fuel prices high and going higher. And now, on the way out, he wants to launch a war with Russia, which has about 4,500 nuclear warheads, if not more, and is allied with China. Talk about crazy. Fortunately, the grown-up in the room, Donald Trump, who is forming an all-star cabinet of grown-up people to be taken seriously, gives his response here.
We have never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war. We must be absolutely clear that our objective is to immediately have a total cessation of hostilities. All shooting has to stop. This is the central issue. We need peace without delay. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a third world country and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first. Finally, we have to finish the process we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission. Our foreign policy establishment keeps trying to pull the world into conflict with a nuclear-armed Russia based on the lie that Russia represents our greatest threat. But the greatest threat to Western civilization today is not Russia. It's probably, more than anything else, ourselves and some of the horrible USA-hating people that represent us. It's the abolition of our national borders. It's the failure to police our own cities. It's the destruction of the rule of law from within. It's the collapse of the nuclear family and fertility rates like nobody can believe is happening. It's the Marxists who would have us become a godless nation worshiping at the altar of race and gender and environment. And it's the globalist class that has made us totally dependent on China and other foreign countries that basically hate us. These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure. chasing monsters and phantoms overseas while keeping us distracted from the havoc they're creating right here at home. These forces are doing more damage to America than Russia and China could ever have dreamed. Evicting this sick and corrupt establishment is the monumental task for the next president. And I am the only one who can do it. I'm the only one that can get the job done. I know exactly what has to be done.
So there might be light at the end of the tunnel after all. If you found value in this broadcast, smash that like button and hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.